What's up, fam? Extraordinary Life with Elijah. And today, Aaron is my extra and I am the ordinary. Aaron, you delightfully prophetic chap, you bless my life so much in the Lord that we're in this process of a we disciple us life together, that the grace on your life, as you serve to please our Father's heart, it releases grace to me that I can know him more as I exercise my gifts. And I'm so thankful for you and bless you in Jesus' name. Fam, it's been so beautiful getting to see my friends Aaron and Anna's vision and reaching out to the youth of all of Montana to invite them into a worship encounter here in my hometown of Bozeman, Montana. Here last year, they did their first revival fire night. They invited youth from our town and then from some surrounding towns to all come together and just spend a time of worship in the Father's presence, to receive the fire and the passion of his love by his Spirit, and then to go back into their homes, back into their schools, back into their communities, then to love people with the love with which they had been loved. It was so beautiful that then this year, as they pressed into Revival Fire 2 and began to build vision of what are you up to this year, God? How do we partner with what you're already doing? Really felt the call and the grace on their lives to reach out to all of the youth of all Montana. Now, it's my absolute favorite to walk in life together with people who think very small, possible thoughts. It's very predictable, status quo expressions of an everyday life that's dependent on your own strength. It's kind of like a supernatural expression of a Groundhog Day over and over until you finally die. No, that is not my favorite. It's sarcasm. I love getting to walk with people who have incredibly large faith visions with God that are so large that unless God shows up and makes them a reality, they'll fall flat on their face. And then when it does come to reality, that it's manifest through the expression of our faith in action, there's no way that we can possibly say, oh man, yeah, we all did that. No, God did that. And we just get to stand back and warm our hands and bask in the glory and the heat of his glow as he puts on a show. Hearing about his vision, I reached out to Aaron and said, Aaron, I love what you're doing. Would I be able to serve you in promoting your vision and your passion to a wider platform to invite more people into your vision with God? That was so beautiful in that he extended grace to me to be able to serve him in this vision. And as we merged forward in that, we decided we wanted to do an initial video where he just talked with pastors, introduced himself, and invited them into the heart of God and what he was hoping to step out into. And then we also wanted to do a promo video that we sent out on social media to invite as many people as possible into this night to please our Father's heart. And the thing you have to know about Aaron is that he has extreme skill in the area of visual expression, both video and photography. And he always has an eye towards the aesthetic and what we're communicating and how we're communicating it. I wanted to lean into the wisdom and the expertise that he has. As a result, he definitely had an idea and an aesthetic that he wanted to create within. So he said, I'm thinking water, I'm thinking trees, and I'm thinking mountains. I said, great. How do those all come together? His response was, I'm going to trust you with the expression of the creative process, but I want water, I want trees, I want mountains. Have fun. I said, absolutely. So I sat out on a Saturday and threw my drone and my cameras into the car and headed to the closest conglomeration that I know that has water, trees, and mountains, which is the face of the canyon out past Four Corners in the city where I live. As I drove along, I began to pray with God and say, God, honestly, I'm feeling a little insecure. I want to make this amazing. I want to serve Aaron so well, and he has such an eye for quality that I want to be able to serve it in something that he is pleased with and releases to other people that represents him well. And as I talked through all those things, I began to declare over God his goodness. Father, I celebrate that you are the most creative being that has ever existed, that you created all things out of nothing. You have infinite creative author ability. I praise you, I worship you, and I thank you that you've imparted your creative author ability with me. You shared yourself with me as I pressed into that place of worship and allowed his spirit to just wash all the insecurities out. I told the Father, I thank you that you've given me freedom to be able to point my cameras at whatever I want to and capture everything with my creative author ability that you've given me. But Father, I want to tell you, I don't want to do that by myself. I want to co-labor with you and co-create this expression with you and include you in my joy of creative author ability. As I was praying through all of those things, just celebrating and worshiping and being in awe of who he was, he spoke to me by his spirit out of the blue and said, pull the car over and film right here. My first reaction was, I think that was my bagel and cream cheese from this morning at breakfast, because there ain't nothing around here that's inspiring at all. But God said, I didn't stutter. I was like, well, Father, there is no turnout. I look ahead of me, there's this little ranch pullout that's as wide as just a lane pulling in. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to shut this down. When you delay responding by faith, you have less time to do so. I slam on the brakes, there's gravel flying everywhere. I jerk over to the side of the road so fast, my water bottle flies off the seat, hits my gear shifter, shoves my car into first gear, rev up to like 7,000 RPM. I'll dump my transmission on the ground, shut my car down right on this little bridge of land, sitting there in this big dust cloud, turn my car off and just say, all right, God, what are we doing here? Fam, off to my right, there's this huge field that's been overgrazed, big clumps of dead grass and cow pies everywhere. And then on my left, there's the river, but it's so close to the road, there's no way to capture the river without getting cars driving by. And it's at the very end of the face, so it's super wide, so there's not high GPMs flying by, that crashing water over the rocks, getting the spray and the super cinematic shots. Honestly, I got the worst attitude ever. I'm like, God, I only have 3 batteries for my drone. I don't want to waste them, but you're God, so you're kind of hard to argue with. You did speak, so I'm going to send my drone up because you're God. You're my dad, so here I go. I get out of the car, start putting feet to my faith, get my drone out, send it up in the air, and guys, there's nothing that's rocking my creative inspiration needle. It's not even whispering. I get my drone down into the river bottom, hovering over the water, getting shots, nothing there. See this crack between the 2 cliff faces, decide to go up through that face to get some shots, and my drone starts yelling at me. You can't exceed 400 feet above ground level. I had to set my drone down then to turn off my flight ceiling limiter so I could go higher. I stayed close to the ground so I wasn't ever above 400 feet above ground level. Stayed in close to the hill, but I kept climbing higher and higher, trying to get shots. Nothing's working. Fly back down the crack, fly along the face of the cliff and try to come around some rocks. I'm getting shots, but nothing is capturing my interest. I keep asking God. I'm praying out loud the whole time while I'm grabbing shots. Father, I don't know why we're here. I heard your voice. I'm pressing in, but God, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Eventually, honestly, out of frustration, I finally decided to try to fly my drone between this pine tree and the rock face of a cliff. And I was getting some crazy turbulence. I think there was a little bit of an air temperature differential of the air coming up off the river and the rock face acting as a heat sink. So I got some squirrely turbulence going on. Make it through the gap, but I'm like, woo! Pucker you up, smack that wall. I'm not getting my drone back at all. Hit the sticks and just go straight up. Gotta get out of all of the obstacles. As I get up and I turn around, I see these 2 rock outcroppings that look kind of like pillars. I decide if I get on the back side of those pillars, get low to the ground, fly out, I'll get some motion above the ground, the rocks coming past, the trees across the valley. That might be a great shot. As I start descending, I see what's on the screen. It looks like a telephone pole. Who has a telephone pole clear up on the side of a rock face? And as I get closer and closer, that ain't a telephone pole, it's a cross. Family, the probability of driving along a canyon at 60 miles an hour, surrounded by scenery that is totally nondescript. There's no overt cinematic qualities of anything that's surrounding me to shut your car down and almost drop the transmission out the bottom and send your drone up the side of a face with a really crappy attitude, and to find a cross in a 20 to 30 mile section of a canyon road is so far beyond probability of possibility, it's mind-blowing. Fam, my encouragement to you is that as God lays visions on your heart and he invites you into things in collaboration with him by his grace, that as you merge forward in those things and you pursue them, that there's all kinds of things in your heart that can wind up coming to the surface, that these things that God is asking me to do are way beyond my pay grade. I don't know how to do these things. Like, God can do these things way better than me, and I don't have the ability to do the same things that God can do. I don't. His word says I don't. But as he speaks and says, Elijah, Aaron, Anna, you step out in faith and help me take my vision of expressing a world love on a stage in the earth. Will you take my message of the gospel and my love, and will you give it voice on a wider platform than just at home in your house, at your table reading your Bible, in your services, or with people that know you, in your churches, in small groups of people together in your schools, at small groups of people around lunch tables in your workplaces? Will you take the message of my love, the fire of my passion, and could you promote that on a wider world stage? And here's the things that I want it to contain. I want it to contain expressions of my love, my truth, my grace. Now go express that. Fam, there are so many times then in our lives as we're merging forward on the pathways that are set out in front of us, that we're wrestling through so much insecurity, but that we hear the voice of God that says, pull over here. There's captivating beauty here that we need to redeem. We need to capture. You're like, God, I don't see what you're seeing in this. This is not glorious. This is not something I want to be a part of. But he said, I didn't stutter. And that even in that space where your heart is not fully given to what he's saying, that there can be shame and there can be doubt, that Father, look at my heart. I don't even want to be here, but I'm going to obey your word because you've called me to this. That as we press in, and that darkness says, if you try to press higher towards heaven and you try to compete with me, the prince of the kingdom of air, I am going to smack so many regulations on you. I'm going to ground you and you're never going to fly again. But as we say, no, I'm taking off all constraints. I'm taking off everything that would hold me down, hold me back. And I'm going to get close in to the rock of ages. And I'm going to just keep ascending the hill of the Lord. I'm going to keep ascending the hill of the Lord. And if I die trying to reach the presence of the Lord that is on the top of the mountain, then I'm going to die trying. That it's in that space that we stay in the race and the pace of grace that is set out before us, that all of a sudden we break up past the rim of the perspective that we can see, and all of a sudden we find a manifest expression of the revelation of Jesus through the cross that we have never found before, and that we find it in a context of grace. Family, my encouragement to you is that this interaction between Aaron and I puts on display the power of a we disciple us context. As my friend Aaron has stepped out in faith to exercise his gifts to please our Father's heart, to impart grace to you and to me so that we can know our Father more, it took me to a place where I broke through to a manifest expression of Jesus through the cross that I never would have found on my own. I will lay down all of the money in my bank accounts. There is no way in heaven that I would be out on a Saturday driving through a canyon by myself, almost wreck my car, to throw a drone out into an environment that I am not creatively inspired by, and find an expression of Jesus through the cross other than the fact that my friend Aaron placed grace on my life and a demand to serve what God was doing in him, that I was there and I discovered this expression of God in a profound and supernatural way. Fam, my friends Aaron and Anna put on display so beautifully my heart in extraordinary life with Elijah, to serve to please my Father's heart through the exercise of my gifts to impart grace to you so that you can know our Father more. As we merge forward as a family of faith, that family is the most powerful algorithm, that as we impart grace to one another in the vision and the good works that God has given each one of us to do, we do so to please our Father's heart, that it imparts grace to one another, that elevates us to a place to see a manifestation of Jesus' person through the cross that would not be possible any other way than receiving the grace from one another to do so. As you merge forward in the things that God has given you to do, they're your good works that He predestined in advance for you to do. The good works tied to identity imparts destiny. There's a destiny on your life to do good works that God has for you to do by faith. And as you pursue those things, you invite people to serve you, to run with the grace that you have, to serve what God has in your life, that as we do that together with faithfulness, that we persist, we press in, we do not relent, we go higher and higher, we take off all constraints of darkness and fear and insecurity, we go higher and higher. What we will find is a very improbable manifestation of Jesus' person revealed in a new way and an expression of the power of His cross. Fam, if you subscribe to what we are doing, at least me and my friend Aaron are doing it. If you subscribe to what we are doing, then hit the button, hit it, and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new content. And if you love this video, you didn't just like it, and you're like, it's neat. That's pretty cool. I probably just did that by mistake. No, you loved this video, then hit the thumbs down button. Bless my heart to no end. That's what I'm up to. I'm imparting grace to you. If you love me, please obey me. Hit that thumbs down button. I pray blessings on all of your days. I love you guys lots, and I will see you in the next video.